In today's episode of my podcast story, we have Davina Hay, the insightful host of the Shift Talking podcast. Davina is a trained therapist turned mental health coach and a professional friend dedicated to helping individuals navigate the complexities of emotions and conflict, especially in their closest relationships. With a unique background that combines therapy and coaching, she empowers her listeners to break generational cycles of emotional repression and learn effective communication strategies. Davina's passion for teaching emotional regulation and conflict resolution shines through in her podcast, where she provides real tools for those feeling stuck in repetitive patterns. She's here to share her inspiring journey on how she built her show from the ground up and the impact it's making in the world of mental health and parenting. Tell us who you are, the name of your podcast, and what your podcast is about.
Yeah. So my name is Davina Hay. I'm the host of the Shift Talking podcast, and it's really just all things mental health, focusing a lot on being a transitional character. So basically somebody that you choose to go against what it is that you were brought up with that you recognize isn't helping you. So that's everything. It's all based on the concept of shift, which is a framework of yourself, your healing, your innovation, fortitude, and transformation.
Wow. What's the reason you started your podcast?
Why I started it? It's a good question. I had been, some of my clients for a while had been asking me to so that they could learn more about the work and mental health in general. And then I started realizing that I was saying a lot of the same things in each of my sessions. And I didn't want to just preserve it for the people who could afford me or the people who were seeking this kind of work in more of a one-to-one format. And this is all emotional literacy. And I wanted to put out information that helps kind of demystify the work and not make everyone think that they must be crazy or something's wrong with them in order to learn about how to improve their mental health.
Wow, I'm curious. How old is your podcast now?
She's still fresh. I launched in September of last year.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. She's
1 year
super
anniversary is coming on the way. Okay.
fresh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope
I've been
I
trying to
get
set
my
it
cake
up.
sent to me.
What was that?
So I hope I get my cake sent to me when it's September. I don't want to hear stories that touch the heart.
Yeah, I mean, I started last March trying to get it started, but I had audio issues and technical issues and didn't know where to start. And then I recorded one and then just got so scared that it was terrible. And so then I just avoided it for a while until I was finally just like, all right, do it. You have to do it. Do it. You said you would do it. And so that's when September came around.
You recorded in March. Okay, how many months? March, April, May, June, July, August. Wow, that's like 5, 6 months later.
Yeah.
Then decided to go all in. Wow, that's good. Okay. Before I start asking other questions, which I'm excited to ask you regarding your podcast, is your podcast audio only or audio and video?
I do both right now. I started out doing audio and video. Right now, I'm not loving the video portion, and so I'm doing some audio onlys for now.
What happened? What happened?
I found myself focusing too much on the fact that there was a camera on me and wanting to like look directly into the camera and get everything just right, instead of allowing for it to be me kind of looking at my screens and looking at my notes. So I just went audio only for the last couple recordings because it was just, I was overthinking it and I didn't want to deal with the editing that takes longer to edit. And yeah, so.
Wow. It takes longer to edit.
Yeah, so because I like for it to look like a really seamless thing. I don't want the hard breaks. And so then I would try to like make sure everything it's me focusing too much on the small details. So now I have an editor who's doing these for me, which is really nice, but we're doing editing for audio only. And then now we're still using video, but I'm not publishing the full video and we're using the video for social media and those types of things.
Wow. Okay. How did you get your editor?
How did I what?
And how did you get your editor and how far into the podcast did you get someone to start helping you editing the podcast?
I just got an editor 2 days ago.
Wow.
So yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Somebody's upgrading.
Yeah, Yeah, it took me a while. I found my editor actually sharing with a guest that I was interviewing, and I told her I was looking for one, and she said, "Well, I have one that I really love." And so she suggested her, and then I had a chat with her over the weekend, and we got along really well. And um, so yeah, we're doing a test of two of them. The reason why I chose now to get an editor is because I started doing interviews and I have 18 that I need edited.
Wow,
And
wow, that's a
I
lot.
looked at this list and was just like, no, no, I don't know how I'm going to find the time to do it. I got so overwhelmed at the idea. And so I decided to finally just offload it and outsource it and have someone else come in and do it for me.
Yeah, this editor you got, is it okay, okay. I don't know how to address. Is it he or is she? Okay, okay. So I know, okay. Does she edit the video or just the audio? No.
Just the audio.
So you prefer to edit the video yourself?
Yeah, I think now we're just going to use the video just for clips, and then the audio only will be full audio. I had looked up on Upwork and found some editors on there, and then my virtual assistant, the agency owner of the virtual assistant company that I use, she also does editing. It just seemed expensive to me, or maybe just outside of my budget. And definitely outside of my budget. And so I wanted someone who was more well within my budget, where I could get, 3 or 4 of them edited for the same cost as 1 or 2 of my other. And plus
Okay.
I had 18 backlogged I needed.
Now that you're mentioning budget, what's your budget?
As cheap as possible. But yeah, I think I budgeted for about $800 a month.
Ooh,
But I'm now publishing 3 episodes a week, and so that
wow,
increased. Yeah.
wow. How
So
did you get to 3 a week?
I just decided to. And then I took a 2-week break, and then now I'm doing 3 a week. But it's because I have all of these guest ones already done and just need to be edited, and then I do 2 solos during the week. One really one shorter, like 10 minutes, and then another one that's about 30 minutes, and then the guest is anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half. So we're doing all
Wow.
3 of those. So I'm still editing my own, and she's taking on all the guest ones off my plate until I have a
Wow.
bigger budget for her to do all of them.
So you're spending about $800 per month just 2 days ago, and wow, that's a huge investment. You committed with time, money, and talent. Wow.
Yeah, I wish I would
Okay.
have known more about it. I overspent on a lot of equipment and all of that, until I got all of the equipment, and then now I downsized to very little equipment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, funny thing is that when you go online, you're like, you should buy this. This is this mic to buy. This is stuff to buy. And you're like, okay, yeah, this is what these guys are saying. I should buy it too. And over time, I've realized that when it's not about the best equipment or the best software or the best app, it's about what's the best thing for me based on my workflow, my time, and because there's certain softwares that you might end up adding to your workflow. That stuff is going to like, is instead of making you productive, that stuff is going to make you anti-productive. Like it's gonna work against you. And
100%.
yeah, yeah,
Yes,
honestly. And
100%.
yeah, was our guests who tell me that they use Zoom and that's what they use. Like they don't use anything special, anything fancy. But I use Riverside and I have my benefit, like, my reasons for using Riverside and all that. But they use Zoom and they get the job done. And it's pretty much straightforward. And other persons, because I feel that, okay, podcast, when we're starting, there's this, especially when we're starting something new, there's this tendency for us to like find a way to compensate for our kind of beginner,
Yes.
yeah. So we'll
Yes.
get more equipment. We buy this stuff, we buy the latest stuff, everything, just for us to compensate with the fact that we're not pretty much good at it. So yeah, that's the big thing we need to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
I wish I would have focused more on the content of what I was saying
Yeah.
instead of trying to
Instead
learn
of
all
all
this
the
new
other stuff.
technology and the audio. Yeah, entirely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I know you just switched from handling everything yourself to having someone helping you with the editing, which that for me it's a lot of free time on your hand to do other things rather than the boring work of editing. Um, what softwares do you use for your podcast? Like from idea to publishing, what are the softwares you use? Or maybe
Yeah, so
tools or apps?
I use Trello now because I was overcompensating but with complicated platforms. And so I got rid of those. So now I use Trello to map out and plan. And then I record in Riverside. And then sometimes I edit in Movavi, but I've been having issues with Movavi lately. So now I just downloaded DaVinci Resolve and I haven't used it yet. So I'll stay tuned. I don't know how that's going to go. And then I use RSS as my podcast host.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm assuming from what you just said that you have a background in video editing before you started your podcast.
No, not at all.
Because why are you using timeline editor?
It makes more sense to me. It feels cleaner. And the transitions of when I have to retake anything or even stop something mid-sentence to cut out because I'm too wordy. When I want to cut those things out, I like to get really clean edits.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I get it. I understand. Yeah. Do what works for you.
I have no business experience, no marketing experience. None of that. I'm a therapist by training. I trained in therapy. And I'm not a therapist now. I'm in the coaching space, but that's my whole background was always talking, not technical kind of stuff at all. It was a really steep learning curve for me.
Yeah. I wow. Okay. I understand what you're saying, but usually when you're having a conversation and you're like facing the camera, usually it's just one long shot, right? And when you do cut stuff out, okay, yeah, I get it. So you want those jump cuts, those L cuts, those all the different cuts, like smooths and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the
it's great.
names of the cuts. I'm just like split here, delete. And then I just do it like that.
Okay. Because I've been thinking recently of moving to Descript, and I was just going through the tool, and I was like, yeah, this tool looks pretty much amazing. And it's the fact that you can edit your podcast with like a text document. That for me, it's really satisfying. I just look at it and I'm just cutting stuff out instead of having to watch every clip again and again. And I say, oh, where did I say? Oh, I said this. Oh, I'm not supposed to say this. Imagine if if you're editing a 1 hour clip and you have to listen to it maybe like 4 or 5 times, 5, 6
Are you
hours
using
just
that
to
in
one clip.
Riverside?
Riverside has the feature, but I think Riverside is a tool that was built for recording. But then they decided to say, okay, let's just slap on some editing features on the app. But you know that it's not there. It's not there. Just the same way this script was built for editing. But then they slapped on um video
Recording.
conferencing, recording. So you just know that this was not exactly what it was made for. But the core tool there is Riverside gets the job done editing. It's just like basic editing. If you really want to go into advanced stuff and all those things, like this script, they have like pretty advanced like features. That when I started going through it, I was like, wow, you don't mean it. Like this stuff is amazing.
Yeah,
I
I
was like, wow,
was
I can't
talking to
believe.
someone this week who said that Descript upgraded a lot of their things because before I found Riverside, I was using Descript and I didn't like their editor. I found it to be more glitchy. And then I found Riverside and I really liked Riverside. But now I'm hearing that Descript upgraded and like does a better job. So now I don't know. I'll probably stick with Riverside so I don't complicate things more. But I'm curious to try it.
Yeah. That's as long as it gets the job done. That's what's important.
Totally.
Your podcast is going to about okay, how many months now? Today's for how many months is your podcast now? September, October, November, December.
8, 9
It's about
months, I guess.
9 months. Yeah. You started your podcast because you wanted to like share some of the behind door, closed doors information that was like to the VIPs, to people outside your client list. And did you have any expectations when you started the podcast?
Expectations, I thought I would get more views faster or listens faster. I didn't know how to do it. And I didn't realize how much work and relationship building and marketing and all of that that would be required in it. I still really enjoy it because I also find it to be very therapeutic. I'm talking about mental health topics so much that I sometimes just think out loud during the sessions, and like that's really nice. But expectation wise, I did not think that it would be this hard to put content together in a very concise way. I didn't think that I would hear my mouth noises as much and focus on my breathing or the sound of me swallowing my spit before I talk. There's just a lot of the minutia that I didn't expect, but I really I really like that before I started in September, I batched 8 episodes or 9 episodes. So then I could just kind of drop it and leave it. But yeah, my expectations were that it would be a smoother, simpler, quote unquote, easier process. But now I understand why so many people stop so quickly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, those minute sounds and all that. Oh, okay. Yeah. Why haven't I noticed those?
Oh no,
Okay,
you
maybe,
will now.
yeah, maybe it's because I tuned in the gain of my mic to be very, very low, such that it's only when I'm speaking and that's my voice, that's what it picks, and it doesn't really pick every other thing. Riverside, they do have a feature where they remove, they kind of like normalize the audio. Wow.
No. I do sometimes when I record audio only, I do sometimes record that in Audacity too. That's the other one that I use.
Oh, okay. That's for your solo episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then you use Riverside with guests.
Yeah. I'm trying to see whether I even need Audacity and Riverside, so stay tuned. But yeah, if I'm doing video as well, then I do Riverside. If it's just audio, I tend to do Audacity.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I doing all audio only. Yeah, it's nice, but with the way like sometimes there's this feeling that when you're doing audio only, that if you are doing audio only, you are wrong.
Yeah, there's definitely really strong
Yeah.
opinions out there.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I mean, video itself, it's powerful. I mean, YouTube it's like this like one of the biggest engines out there, and yeah, we might as well just leverage it. I mean, we chose podcasting as a medium. That's not the core purpose of what we are doing. We want to get our message out there, but we just happen to choose podcasting as the medium. So the message trumps the medium every time.
Yes, for sure. And that's where I am leaning more toward YouTube now, where I'm now doing full YouTube videos that are more educational and keeping the
Wow.
podcast to more conversational. So that'll be full video and scripted and like the whole cleanness. So I'm kind of saving all of my video energy because I'm also naturally just very introverted. I don't like being seen and being on camera and all of that. And so I'm also getting more comfortable with the idea. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's counterproductive to what it is that I'm trying to do here.
Yeah. I mean, no comments. Okay,
It's just part of it.
I kind of like your setup though. It looks nice. There's I think there's blue lights behind the curtains, and yeah, like you're a pro, honestly. Wow.
Thank you. It's such a simple thing that I thought would be more complicated. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I got velvet curtains. They're black and yellow. And then, yeah, just 3 lights right behind the couch. And then the couch I got for free off of Facebook Marketplace. And just washed
Ooh.
it really well, cleaned it really
Wow.
well, and then got these pillows on sale on Amazon.
Wow.
Yeah,
Never,
it's not.
no one, I never could believe that, you got this stuff for free, and it looks really nice. For me, I'm always looking at, um, how do I put it now? I'm always looking at what's the best setup that would increase productivity, not necessarily the best setup. You understand? I want to like have my setup such that I just 1 minute or 2 minutes to probably the call or the recording, I just sit down and
Go.
boom, we're
Yes.
going. Not like, oh, I have to use 20 minutes or 30 minutes to set up. And then I'm like, not again, not again.
Yeah.
Every time the thoughts cross my mind, I'm like, there's this cold shiver that runs through my spine. I'm like,
Yeah.
we have to do
That's
this
also
again.
why I wanted audio only, so that I wouldn't worry
Yeah.
about my makeup, how I look, setting up the angles and the lighting and all of that. I kind of just sometimes I just want to be able to come in, hit record, and it doesn't matter what it looks
Yeah.
like. The lights on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how I recorded an episode with a guest previously, and Um, one of the things we talked about was that it's good to move from the known to the unknown. Like for most persons starting a podcast, it's easier to start with an audio only podcast. And I started with an audio only podcast, right? I s- a lot of reasons why I started that, and probably I won't just go into all of that. But I started with an audio, but it was the easiest to start. And over time, I became comfortable with an audio only podcast, and then I moved to video podcast. Now I'm doing video. But if I had started with probably a video podcast, probably would not be doing this podcast by now. Yeah, well,
Complicated it so much.
yeah,
And at the
yeah.
time, I
I
wanted
mean,
to make my studio rentable. So I had my home before we just moved to San Francisco. We were living in Las Vegas before. And so one of our bedrooms was my whole studio. And so I had the mixers and the multiple camera angles and the whole set. And that's why I made everything so much, because I wanted to have guests come in and be, have the recording live. And then I wanted to be able to rent out this space for people who didn't want to do the whole setup, and where they could just come in, record, and then take it. And then we ended up moving. And so now I'm in a very small office and just made this background kind of work. But the video, it complicates a lot. And I tend to complicate it too much in my brain. Like, I'm sure people wouldn't care if I'm looking
yeah.
there, but I do. And my expectations tend to be way too high for myself. And then I make everything worse.
You know the irony of the whole thing that with the whole conversation and everything we've been saying so far is the fact that you're a guest on my podcast now, and we're doing video. And I'm going to edit this video and I'm going to post it on YouTube. And for me, I'm wondering, it looks perfect. I don't even know what camera you're currently using right now. Don't tell me it's a webcam, because it looks too good to be a webcam.
No, I got a Sony A6000, I think, off of eBay.
Okay, because
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I was about to lose my mind if you just told me it was a webcam. Wow, it looks
No,
good,
but I
and you
used
sound.
to have that with the teleprompter, and then I would pull up your face here on my phone and then have the teleprompter do it. So now it's like
Oh
you're
man.
like, this is me looking at the lens, and then you are right here. So it's like not quite good enough. I'm over it. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
much effort.
It's a strange thing though, because your setup is advanced. It could go way advanced. Right now, I'm using my mobile phone and I'm just looking at the screen. That's it. Nothing complicated. And yeah, that's the way it's just it. I think as much as possible, we are not entertainment content where we need to be having those flashy stuff and all that. Of course, having good camera, professionalism and all that, but most of the time we it's good enough, honestly. I can tell that there's someone out there that has less gear that you have, that is creating incredible content and doing well on stuff. Oftentimes we want to project stuff like, oh, the gear is not good enough, that's why my stuff is not doing well. Whereas there's something else we have to fix. We have to deal with other than the gear itself.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't until I went back to the very first few episodes of some of my favorite podcasts that I then batched all of those and sent them out and published them, because I was comparing my episode 1 to their episode 100. And
Yeah.
then of course it felt so daunting. And then of course I need the most expensive microphone and all of that. But if you go back to some of your favorite podcasters and YouTubers, all of it was worse quality than what we can find nowadays, considering their podcast probably started a long time ago. And you get to hear their mess ups and how, their editing wasn't super clean, and maybe their messaging wasn't super on point, and it really humanizes the experience and makes it so much more approachable than it does, obviously now when we're comparing something crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And that for me, it's kind of inspiring to be able to say that. Look, I started when I didn't have everything figured out. I did this. Go and check my first episode. You can see it now. Like
Yeah.
it's such a huge flex of motivation that you can easily say, go and check it out. When in 2013 I started, I was using my webcam. Go and look at it. You can see it,
Yes.
and people can actually go check it out and they'll see it. And I think I don't know if you know Mr. Beast.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he started with his iPhone or something like that. And the videos, they are actually on YouTube. You can go check it out. You can see some of the stuff he was doing with green screen. And I'm like, wow, this guy started, he started where he was in order to get to where he wanted to go. But he didn't have to like wait to get to where he wanted to go in order to start. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense.
Of course it does. Yeah, you have to start somewhere, but we assume, I don't know why, we assume that it wasn't as hard for them, that it was just this overnight thing, and we don't see all of the work that they had to do to get there. There's a podcaster or a YouTuber, his name is Ali Abdal.
Yeah, I
Now,
know.
all about productivity and stuff, but I love his videos because he talks about this constantly, about how he used to record, and then you see like all this like super grainy videos and all of this, and and I've also seen Mr. Beast do this too, where they kind of pull in clips in comparison of where they were to where they are now, and yeah,
Yeah, and then
it reminds that we have to start
MKBHD.
somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen MKBHD first video where like, hello guys, today we're going to look at some, Marcus Brownlee, Marcus Brownlee, right?
I don't think
He's a
so.
tech, he's a tech YouTuber.
Oh,
Seriously?
you're shocked. You're
Wait,
disappointed in me. I can
no,
see it. Who?
wait.
I'm gonna look him
I
up.
know MKBHD. He does reviews all these iPhone, all these tech products, Samsung, and all these things. Marcus Brownlee, just check him out.
Oh, I have seen him. I don't think I
Yeah,
knew his
I know.
name. Oops.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
you've
think I
seen
knew
his
the
face.
name. Yes. Yeah, I definitely know his
Okay.
face.
Yeah, his oldest video when he was probably young, I think 13 or 14. He was like, hello guys. It was his laptop he was using to record. Hello guys. Today we're going to look at some of the tech products out there. And when you look at him now, and I'm like, wow,
It's incredible.
wow. Yeah, it's incredible, and I feel that it's a process in itself. Like right now, if even without the gear, right? If you were to strip out all this expensive gear and everything from all these guys, they still have that on camera personality. Like I don't know how to explain. Like even if you've never watched Marcus Brownlee video before, you don't know who the guy is, and you just like mistakenly click on his video, you there's this feeling that you know that this guy is a big shot. Like
Mm,
this guy is not one of these guys that just decided to say, let me start a YouTube channel and let me see how it goes. Apart from the quality, like there's this on camera presence that this stuff he kind of learns over the years by
yeah.
practicing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
like that charisma from the beginning.
yeah. But he didn't have that when he started.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of that a lot of us kind of start this way, very similar to me, where like we have to get super comfortable with being seen and being okay with being on camera, and other people who naturally just feel comfortable and are okay with that. And I think that is
Yeah,
where you see so much confidence come through and less of like
yeah.
the
But
very like,
the
inside.
strange thing is that, especially that Marcus Brown, if you can watch his like very first video, I don't think that guy was comfortable. Like the words he was rambling, everything was, man.
No?
When I
Okay,
saw
I
his
need to go
face,
back and watch.
okay, you said when I saw his first video, I was like, wow, I think I have hope I can make it.
Love that. Well, good.
Yeah,
Have you
because
considered putting together a compilation of a lot of like the big YouTubers or big
ooh,
to give
yeah,
to before?
yeah, I'll probably work on that. Yeah, I'll just try to look from different people from probably different continents, so that everybody gets to see whoever they identify with in the video. So from those from English speaking to those that have English as a second language, from male, female, all the different types, so that
Yeah.
they're like, oh yeah, that would be nice. So that anybody just, I'm thinking I'll just send them the link. I say go watch it and see how this guy started and where they are now.
Yeah, I think that would be great, and especially right alongside the messaging behind your podcast. I would love
Yeah,
to see that
yeah,
whenever you're done.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Probably if I okay, yeah, that's true. I'll do one for general YouTubers, and then I'll do one for um podcasters, and
Yeah.
yeah, and just share it out there. Oh, that's my next project. I'll add it on my to do list.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when it goes live.
I would really love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. You said you started in March, and for some reason you I don't want to use the word got scared, but it was like it was like you were chased, and it took you 6 months to recover to
Yeah.
plunge back into the
Yeah.
deep. What
Yeah.
happened? What was the technical fail in particular that happened?
I think I just overthought it. There's a lot of um I have a tendency to do it all the way or not at all. And when I tried recording, I would stammer or repeat myself or just not get the words right or ramble. And I thought I needed to make it so much better, so much cuter, so much more professional right away. And so that's where I lost a lot of confidence. I also had poor XLR cables, and that made the audio really crummy, and you could hear like a zzz in the background, and then that was really frustrating for me. And so once I got the audio better and the video better, that's when I started getting more confident, and then I was more willing to just let it be bad. But that's when I went back and started listening to all of these people's first ones to gain some of that confidence and just allow for it. Because there's a lot of before I wasn't really open to being novice in order to get better. I just wanted to be great right from the get.
Ah,
And I know I just set myself up entirely for failure. And so I had to be okay with putting something out into the world that's not good and allowing for myself to get better.
it's a strange thing because every profession that we do, we started at a place where we knew nothing, basically. Like we had no idea what we were doing. But the thing that's peculiar about creating is that you're actually learning and putting out in public. So unlike probably your profession, which you learned and what exactly did you study? I know you said therapy, but what exactly did you study?
Anger management.
Okay, anger management. When you're learning that stuff and all the process, you do the practical and all those things. It was just you, the professors, the lecturers, and all that. There was nothing in the world or the public could see, right? But now you're starting from zero, and now you have to put it out there, and you have to keep learning and putting it out there. So that itself, is one of the problems that makes it overrated. But it's the same thing with every other thing, every other skill. Like you start from zero, but just now you just get to document, and that for me I feel there was this quote I heard that it is in shining our light to give others permission to shine theirs. I mean, look at how we're just making examples of Mr. Beast, MKBHD, what's this other guy we mentioned?
Ali Abdal.
Ali Abda. We're making examples of all these guys. And the funny thing is that a lot of people will connect with Ali Abda probably in the medical field and all that because they're like, oh, he's a medical. He started with teaching medicine and all that and academic. Pretty, that I've discovered him when he was teaching how to study videos and all those things, like long, long ago before he moved to productivity. Yeah, when he was teaching medicine and all those things. Yeah, but now I think that's where the money is, productivity. Yeah, yeah. But it has been nice to see him move from where he was down to where he is now, and yeah.
Yeah, I read this quote and I'll butcher it because I also don't even know who said it, but it was one of those ones that I read and was like, "Oh, okay. Like I believe you now." And it was something like in order to be a seasoned expert, you have to be a novice beginner, and that embarrassment is the cost of entry. That next part about embarrassment being the cost
Of
that I
entry.
was okay. I just have to invest in this. I have to be willing to do it. And then the other advice that I got that I haven't followed through with yet is to block everyone I know on social media
Yeah,
and
wow,
everywhere. They said to block
wow.
family, friends, anyone that before you post, you wonder what they might think about what it is that you're posting. And if so, you block them out lovingly. But the comparison is that when somebody is running a board meeting or going through a performance review or just doing their job, I'm not there going into their office to watch them, but they are. And so if that's kind of pulling us away from it, pulling any of us away from feeling confident in doing it, that we need to just lovingly let them know, hey, just, like no bad blood. I don't hate you. I just need you to not watch me do this phase. And then once you have where you want to be and you're practiced enough and it feels good and you're confident, then you add them back in. But in the
yeah, and it's pretty easy to do. Yeah, honestly.
Do you do that?
Yeah, that's the content I create and everything, it's different from my private WhatsApp status and all that thing I post. Nobody knows that I post anything or make any stuff because the truth is that it's not for them. The stuff I make is not for them. And so why should you be saying, like, I wouldn't want to waste your time. I'll give an example. If I'm making a video, like, there are a lot of valuable video out there in the world that if I watch those videos, it would be a waste of my time.
Yeah.
Because that video is not made for me. Yeah, there are some topics that I probably watch that it's advanced video down to the point, but I'm like, you just wasted 10 minutes of my time. Why am I watching this stuff? And I see a lot of people, they message me like, I just started the YouTube channel. It's about this. Please subscribe. And I'm like, dude. But sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be that guy who's like, oh, I started the channel, he doesn't want to support. I was like, I'm not interested in this topic. Why are you asking me to subscribe? But I'm like, okay, to avoid many talk, and I just go and I'm like, oh, great, it's nice that you started a YouTube channel and stuff, and and encourage them and all that. And basically that's it. Because at the end of the day, you have people subscribe to your YouTube channel, you post video, nobody watches it because they just wanted to, to just please you. They don't really care about this stuff. But I think if a better approach is if maybe you're very popular and you have a large contact list, it would be, hi, good evening. Are you interested into let's say, okay, are you so passionate or curious about mental health? And they're like, yes, no, right? Now it's not like, oh, check out my podcast. My podcast is about mental health. You have to check it out. And I'm like, nah. Or it could be, of course, mental health. Now I'm saying mental health now. A lot of persons are like, of course, everybody should care about mental health, but nah, not everybody does. And same thing with, okay, mine is pretty niche, and I think it would be a perfect example. I'm like, do you have a podcast, or do you ever think about starting a podcast? I'm like, no, I'm not into that stuff. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then the next question would probably be, do you know someone who has a podcast and wants or talks about starting a podcast? And they're like, yeah, I know one, or I don't know someone. And then we're like, oh yeah, that's great. How you doing? Have a nice day. And then I go my way. Rather than just spamming all my people like, oh, check out my podcast. And I'm like, nah, that's not like that's spamming. Like sending stuff to people that they don't need, that doesn't help them.
Yeah.
Nah, yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's a hard thing because it's like I told my family, like, please don't listen. Please don't watch. It's not for you. I'm like, this is different. And given a lot of the things I think we could all benefit from when it comes to the mental health and anger management and managing conversations and communication, these types of things, I think it's helpful. And I'm still their sister, their daughter, their cousin, friend, right? And if they didn't take my advice out here, they're sure as shit not going to take my advice in here.
Yeah.
Also, maybe they shouldn't, right? And kind of keep that a bit separate. So it's like, I want everyone who doesn't know me to watch and listen. But if you do know me, no, you don't. And just block me or let me block you and keep it separate.
Yeah, it's funny we say that because sometimes I think society, friends and family, their voice has kind of been internalized into our head that when we're doing certain things, we hear that voice and we think it's our own voice that is speaking, whereas it's not us. We're like, okay, I can't do this. I'm like, why can't you do that? Well, people are going to say this, people are going to say that. But when in actuality, so I'm going to allow what people say because of what people say. I'm not going to do what I want to do or what's important to me. Like, now that I say it out loud, like it sounds pretty stupid. Yeah, but
we do it, right? We get
yeah,
we
do it. Like it's there, and that's why sometimes it's good to think out loud so that you hear your thoughts and you're like, wow, I can't believe I was thinking something so stupid. How did I conceive such thoughts?
Because when it only lives in here in our brain, it makes sense because of what you're saying, like those narratives that we have that are familiar. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really great advice that you're giving here is to just say it out loud and see if it makes sense. See if you can finish the sentence without getting grossed out by yourself.
Yeah. And one of the things I've noticed, I think I was having a conversation with a friend and she was like, she's a content creator and she's been struggling to like post consistently. And I was just saying jokingly that, that if I was to, let's say I was to give you a job where you needed to be a content creator for the company and post consistently and make video content, that you take this thing seriously. And she was like, yeah. But, it's my own thing and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, because a lot of people, they need a form of, how do I put it now? I'll give an example now.
Yeah.
Give an example. All these things you mentioned, why they are valid reasons. Let's assume you were employed by a big mental health company or something like that. And, we're a very rich salary. And, it's something you love to do. You are into mental health. It's already what you're doing. And they're paying you handsomely. And they get to say, okay, we have a podcast for this company. We'd love for you to be the host of this podcast. At that point in time, all these excuses, all of them, they just fly out the window. Pum.
100%.
But now that now that we're the boss, we get to call the shots. you're like, no, if I, let's see. And of course, I'm not going to say that those, of course, they're valid. But the thing is this, you can always find a reason not to do what you want to do. You will always see a valid reason, like a
Yep.
lot, a lot, like 100%. I can remember when I started this podcast, the internet over here was really terrible. And having a conversation with my guests, who man, it was as if they were holding my chest and squeezing it because the thing will seize. When I would say something, maybe like 2 minutes later, the guest will respond to it, and I was like, yeah, I was like, and you can imagine if you're a guest, the pressure is not that much, but when you are the host, it's just like when you're organizing a party and everything is going wrong. Like the pressure will be on the host, not the guest. Of all the guests were like, oh, what's going on now? Why is everything not working? What's happening? But the host is like, oh, what's happening? What happened to the generator? What happened to the mic? What? And I'm like, and so at that point in time, I was like, okay, what do I need to do? And I was like, okay, I need to let me switch to audio only, probably because the bandwidth of video is too much, and the internet is, that internet of this thing is not a peculiar problem. It's general. The internet over here is not so good. And like if on the day I get 10 MB per second, I'm happy, and that's a very good day. And then some other place you're getting 100 MB per second, and then later on, I realized that, dude, you learned the wrong lesson. And yeah, I had a conversation with a guest earlier on. I was like, sometimes we have experiences and we learn the wrong lessons. And I was like, the lesson you ought to to learn is not to do audio only podcast. What about there is a better time? I was like, okay, it's the network is better at 12 to 6 a.m. And I was like, wow, I could do that. I could do that. And then I just started doing video, and I've done several videos so far. And I was like, wow, I could have allowed that to just stop me from not doing video podcast. And yeah,
Uh,
it's been a learning experience for me, honestly.
Yeah, the part that you shared about if you were hired to do this job has been like running in my brain since you said it. I think it's such a good point and something that I had never considered before because it is true, right? If I was hired onto a steady space, which is the name of my practice, my business, and they said you are going to be the one to host Shift Talking and be the face of everything, write the
Yeah,
content,
of the
do all,
brand.
I would do it right away. And then my question, and I wouldn't question whether my family saw it because this is the job that I've been given.
Yeah,
I
and you're
ask
paid
myself
handsomely.
what the difference would be. And I
Yeah.
think one of the things is that when it's your employer telling you that you're going to be this person, it's like they've chosen me.
Mm,
They see my potential. They see I
okay.
can do this. And when
Okay.
it's just us, that has to come from us. So then I can
Yeah.
like offset my confidence in myself, my self efficacy on them because they said I can do it. And therefore I believe that I can do it. But when it's just little old me with all of my wounds and my insecurities and all of the stuff coming through, I will find every reason to not. I'm going to adopt that.
Yeah. A
As
funny
soon as we
thing
hang
that
up, I'm gonna put in to ChatGPT for some help and put in that if I was hired to do the job that I have created for myself, what would my roles and responsibilities be? And I'm going
yeah.
to lead with that. I think that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
I feel that for a lot of us growing up, all the major things we did in our life, we did it because people told us to do those things. So oftentimes when we want to do things that are important, we are looking for permission. Like, we need that person to tell us, okay, you should do this thing. We should. And when I was talking with a friend, I was like, oh boy, my boss, if I don't do it, my boss will scold me and they'll tell me this. And I was like, and it's just for me how sometimes we expect people to believe in us, but we don't believe in ourselves. And I was like, wow. I know we're our own biggest fan. Like, we should be our own biggest fan. Wow.
I know. And yet most of us are our own biggest bully, our own troll.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one of these days I was having a walk and the thought just came to my head. I was like, don't ever, 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 ever in your life reject yourself. And I was like, yeah. I mean, people could reject you. They could say, oh, you're not good enough. But oftentimes, before we even make the application for the job, we're like, I'm not going to get the position. I'm in Nigeria. These people, they are looking for native speaking English people. Don't even bother. I'm like, oh, if I record the podcast, I'm not even going to go viral. Nobody's going to listen to the podcast. You've not even done anything. You've already rejected yourself and said, get out of there. And I'm like, I was like, yeah, that's like, I shouldn't reject myself even before I apply. And a lot of persons will do it over and over again where we want to do this thing. It's important to us. It's not like, oh, this thing is not really something I want to do. Like, we really want to do it. But we're like, nah, this thing is not for me. And it's not good. The people will not say this. People, you are like, don't be, let people reject you. Don't be the one to reject yourself. Like, that's not your job to do. Like, wow.
You're
I was like,
completely right. And we will
yeah.
live in that rejection as if it happened already.
Yeah. We will not even try. We will not even join the game and we expect to win. Like, you can't, how do you expect to win when you're not even in the game?
Yeah.
It's just like, I think there was one time when someone won an election. It was a comic. The man who became governor of the state did not participate in the election. So it was really absolutely ridiculous. So that's why I'm just saying, like, a lot of persons, we're not even in the game and yet we expect to win. We are having high expectations to win, but you're not in the game. How do you expect to win? Like, you have to be in the game first before you think of
Yeah.
winning. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, my son, we just moved a few months ago, and my son he's 8 now, and he is so artistic and he loves color and all of this. And we were all getting our nails painted and he wanted his nails painted. And I was like, sure, why not? And so he was saying that he didn't want to go to school because he was afraid that the boys in his class would make fun of him for having his nails painted. And so he went to school anyway. And when I picked him up, he said that he spent the whole day as much as he could with his hands in his pockets so that they wouldn't make fun of him. And I need to take my own advice because I told him that he's already living as if they're making fun of him. He's already like they did. And you're not even giving them the opportunity to make fun of you. You don't even know if this has happened yet, but you're living in that. You're creating that for yourself, you know? And it's so true that we do that before we even start. We assume that we've failed. And for a lot of us, especially for me, when I think about being confident, when I think of like going into it being like, yes, I can do this, it feels arrogant. It doesn't feel confident. It feels arrogant because I don't know how to do that without feeling icky.
Yeah. And it's a funny thing because when it comes to creating content and doing work and all those things and kind of like overcoming over imposter syndrome, one of the things I believe is that confidence in itself comes from having undeniable evidence. Now, of course, there's this pep talk. You have to believe. You have to do this. But I believe that I mean, if you've been doing something for like 5, 10 years, you have a ton of clients, a ton of case studies, a ton of examples. Sometimes you feel like you're not really good, but you're like, I've been doing this for a long time. Let's go. You understand? Because you have so many evidence that are stacked that say otherwise. But when you don't have evidence, you're like, well, I'm not really good. I can't really say this stuff. And, but here's the funny thing. Because you feel that you're not good enough, you don't get to do the thing. So you don't get those evidence to prove otherwise. And so because you don't get those evidence, you don't get to do the thing. So it's just that chain that you're like, you don't, that cycle. Yeah.
You're
Wow.
exactly right. I think it's spot on. And it's
Yeah.
how we ruin things before we even start.
Yeah, a strange thing that I've been noticing so far, and I said it earlier on that if we're thinking of reasons why we cannot do a thing, we always see reasons, right? I'll give an example. Over here in Nigeria, I've had some friends who want to create content, and I asked them, okay, why don't you want to create content? They're like, um, I have English is not really my first language. My accent is really there. Sometimes when I pronounce the word, I don't really pronounce it very well. And of course, it's valid. They have this, you notice that, oh, this person is, when they are speaking, they're like, oh yeah. And then I see people that are probably staying in the US or probably people that are staying in the UK, and I'm like, okay, so what's the issue now? They're like, so why do I feel like I'm roasting you? I'm sorry, it's unintentional. And they're like, okay,
No.
I'm okay. My when I swallow my spit, I can hear the sound, and I'm like, seriously. And there's someone out there who's like, well, I cannot really speak articulate English, and they're actually true. When they speak, sometimes it's hard to hear them. I had a guest one time on my podcast. She has this speech impediment where when she was talking, I had to close my eyes and actually focus on listening to her because and it was the fact that she got out there and she started guesting on podcast and sharing her story and doing the stuff that she did. I was like, wow, this is someone who has the reason to say, oh, I'm not really good. Like talking for me is really a struggle when I thought people don't really hear me. And I was like, oh, dude, you are making a big deal out of this thing. I was like, okay, it's all right. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And the
And
funny
I
thing
think
is
that
that,
there's a lot of confidence in that. Like I speak one
yeah,
language.
yeah,
And it, there's a lot of confidence and
yeah,
courage that
yeah.
takes. Yeah.
Yeah. You speak one language, your internet is good. So yeah, earlier on I said that when I started my internet was terrible. The day I got 5 or 6 MB per second, that day I'm celebrating, I'm happy. And you have great internet. Of course, the other things that are valid, it's not that they're not valid, but it's just that the work is important regardless. We'll do it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And yeah, the funny thing is, if you do those things, I know there are a lot of things that people will see that they will connect with you for some reason. That's okay. Yeah, she does this up. Oh, she says this when she speaks. Yeah, she does. She speaks like I speak too. Me, I always say this thing when I speak like that too. And so yeah, she's creating content. Me too, I can create content because if both of us will go out and create content, a lot of people will resonate with you. Other people will resonate with me. And some
Right.
people were like, nah, she speaks too much. I don't really like her. I don't really understand what she speaks. She speaks so fast, and her English is just. And then they're like, this guy speaks like me. Hey, I like this. I understand this guy. Sound is different, and I just feel that by just putting ourselves out there, by shining our lights, and unintentionally, we give people permission to shine their lights.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah,
Sometimes we expect to know who we do that,
yeah. And
and we
I want to
assume
ask
that
you,
there's less.
yeah. Yeah, all through the 8 months you've been podcast, have you gotten a message from your listeners?
Some, yes, a lot of them are current clients or previous clients or friends or family of those clients that reach
Okay.
out. So it's nice to hear it. It's really good and it also reaffirms it. What I've also found helpful is to when I put up on my stories and such, you can see how many people see it. And it's not about who sees it, but it's really a reminder that more people see you than they think. Than you think. And I don't really engage in socials. I am a looky Lou. I look and I look and I look and oftentimes I don't engage. And so then okay, I do that and I am helped. I get helped by people and other people influence me in really good, beautiful ways. So that has to assume that if I exist, then at least one other person has to exist who does those same things too.
Yeah. It's funny how sometimes you think that you're putting our content out there. I've had days where I felt like, I felt kind of like down. And one thing that I just saw, random stuff I saw on the internet, it looked as if that stuff was made for me. It looked as if it was a planned effort. Even me, I was surprised by the message. I was like, how did this phone know that I needed to see this message right now in this
Yeah.
time? And I was like, wow. I just looked at the creator and I was like, wow, thank you very much. And like in my heart of hearts, and that was it. And I moved on
Yeah.
with my day. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's great what you're doing here. You're not just showing the cute and the glitz and the glamour and all of everyone who's on their 900th episode, maybe some of those.
Yeah.
And you're focusing on the where we started and how we got here and what things set us back and hold us back. And you're creating a community of people who need to hear these things so that
Yeah.
they continue. And I think it's
Yeah.
amazing
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah. Very important. And yeah, I probably won't be able to do this without you coming on the podcast. So I'm glad you came on the podcast to share your exciting story.
Well, thank you for letting me and thank you for having me.
Yeah. Do you monetize your podcast or it's just connected to your business directly?
Yeah, it's just connected to my business. I'm hoping to never get ads. I don't
Why is it that when I say monetization, everybody thinks about
Everyone
ads?
assumes it. I know. But I think it's because when you go on here and you see about monetizing, everyone talks about ads. I want
Oh, like,
partnerships and then I
yeah.
want there to be so I never want to run ads if it's up to me. I would rather do partnerships and then have like a subscription base that's very low that keeps it quick. I even cut out my intro because I used to have like the preview and then the welcome to Shift Talking. I'm Davina with the 30 seconds and lech. Now mine is just,
Yeah.
hi, welcome to Shift Talking. And then we just go into it. There's no music, there's nothing. And I just want to cut through the noise. I just want to cut through it and get to it. And so the idea of ads just horrifies me. And no partnerships yet. None of that yet. So long answer, no. Short answer.
Yeah, but I mean, it ties into your business. The podcast kind of establish you as authority, and people get to learn and build trust before they even get to work with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Yeah, so
realistically, when I'm trying to help us become more emotionally literate, that's my goal. Right, if I can make money from it, great, because I love my job. Don't get me wrong.
so how do you measure that goal?
Leading with assumption that people are hearing it and that it's resonating, right? Like that's
You
really
have to do
all
better than that.
I do. I hope
How
that
do
you
you?
do, But as I get more and more views and downloads and all of this, it means that more people are listening, and hopefully more parents, because I work not primarily, but I work a lot with parents, not to help them parent better, but for us to focus on people who happen to be parents, to talk about our overwhelm, our emotion, our marriage, all of these types of things that affect us really, really poorly. And the more exposure I get, the more I think maybe people will spark something. I get to plant a seed and hope that they'll water it. And
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The funny thing is that's a different feed, but I mean, there should be a number that kind of like reflects not necessarily the traditional number, but maybe you would have to create your own number. Probably because I have a background in science, mathematics, and all those areas.
yeah, give me.
That's why I'm thinking of numbers. But I feel like there should be like a number. You understand? I'll give an example. Let's say okay. Let's say what example am I going to give now? Uh, okay, let's say you want to see how well your message resonates deeply with people. I mean, one of the things you could look at is you want to look at, okay, your episodes, how long do they watch it, right? How long do they listen to it? Right? They watch from the beginning to the end. And then you want to see, okay, the people that are watching and they're listening to it, how often did they come back, right? And these are not like the viral download numbers. Oh, I get millions of views and stuff like that. It's okay, I got 50 listeners, okay? Okay, now those 50 listeners, they came back the next week to listen to the episode again. Okay, they came back the third week again to listen to the episode. Okay, means I'm doing something here. Something's going on here. Okay,
Yeah.
that 50 listeners is not like, oh, 50 million or 50,000, but it's a number and it's something that you get to see. A lot of persons will be like, oh, you get, because the funny thing is that some persons, they are like a basket that is trying to fetch water. They get a lot of downloads, but then they're like, okay, 2 months after that, you're like, okay, so where's the podcast at? And we're doing like 100. So, but you told me you had 50,000 last week, last 2 months. Well, what actually happened was that, and I'm like, you get this sudden spike in growth and you're back. And I'm like, dude, what happened?
Yeah. And it's interesting because I started the podcast a lot to provide psychoeducation, right? Like education about psychology. And the best performing episodes that I have put up are the ones where I talk about myself, where I talk about
Yeah,
hardship and I share about my experiences. And my all-time best performing video or audio episode, rather, was when I shared about my grandmother who died and how I talked to my boys about her death. And
yeah.
that one is the best one. So I'm like, okay, well, okay. And then there was another one later on where I talked more about my marriage, and those are doing better. Did I lose you?
I'm
Or
seeing
you
a
want me to be
pattern there.
listening? Yeah.
I'm seeing a pattern there.
Yeah.
Okay,
So now I
okay.
have to share about my life and not just teach the principles, but share how I'm applying those principles to my life. And so
You
I'm
see,
working on getting more
yeah.
within that kind of language.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is, with ChatGPT, AI, and everything, the thing that matters the most is our story. Now, like this episode now, didn't necessarily go to start teach that. "Oh, if you want to grow your podcast, you have to do 10 things. Of course, that content is important, but
Sure.
if I was listening to this podcast episode, I was listening, not true, having this conversation with you. There were certain realizations I came to. I was inspired. There certain things I noticed that, oh, you did this stuff. Oh, this was what you did. And so probably in the future, I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. I remember this lady from this podcast. Yeah, when she was doing this thing, it was this stuff that she did that time. The funny thing with stories that it sticks better than
Yeah.
the 7 tips, the 5 tips to managing anger. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
You're totally
yeah.
right.
But when you tell a story of how you got so angry, somebody offended you, you were about breaking the door, and the story, and you're like, okay, somebody held you and you were so happy, and now I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm like, no, I shouldn't do that. This was what happened when she when she did that. I don't want to have that outcome. It sticks better than, and people connect with you better than, as much as possible. I don't want to be a walking, moving ChatGPT. Let ChatGPT be ChatGPT and let me be me. You understand? And the sweet thing about that is that it's easier to create content when you sharing your story, because nobody can say, oh, what are you saying? You're saying rubbish. No, that stuff is not correct. I'm like, dude, that's my story. That's what happened to me. Like when you're saying about your grandmother and how you told the story to your boys. That's what you did. And nobody can say, oh, no, that's not what happened. I'm like, dude, really? But when we start sharing tips, like, oh no, this is not the way. This one is.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
so
Wow.
interesting too, because especially that episode of my grandmother's, I considered deleting thinking
Ooh.
that nobody would care. I
Wow.
put it up and was just like, why did I do that? That was not even what I'm here to do. And then I got a text message the night I published it from my previous client who was just like, this is so helpful. Thank you so much. I never considered how to talk to my kids about death. I was like, oh, hold on. What? Hang on. So, wait,
Wow.
what? That's helpful? Okay.
Wow.
Okay. What do I do? Right. And so it
Wow.
like kind of changed everything. But you're right. Like there are certain ones that I don't really remember the checklist. It's in school, right? Like I'm not really
Yeah.
listening to all of that. But when my professors teach it in a way that's through a story, it lands harder. It makes so
Yeah.
much.
I never forget. There's no story that I've heard that I've forgotten. Nah, 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 nah. It always sticks. Once I hear that story, I'm like, it was this man that was saying it that time when I was young. I remember the story.
Yeah.
And right now, when you share this encounter, and I think we're running over time, and I'll try to run up as much as possible, but the conversation just keeps going on, going on. Is if I try to separate you, the content creator, from you, the boss, the one who calls the shots. If I separated the two of you, what will happen is that if that boss had told you that, oh, don't post that stuff you posted was nonsense. Why would you post that thing? And then you post the stuff and the thing start performing and start doing well, and then you start getting message and all that. Like, yeah, I always believed in you. I knew you have something in you. Yeah, you see, I have a good eye for talent. You see, that's also what keeps me working here. And and sometimes we just have to agree that we can be wrong, and we've been wrong most of the time, and we don't know what we are doing always. And so yeah, just test it, and you can always delete it if it doesn't work out, but test it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the messy action.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I try to remind myself is that like this is just my origin story. This is the
Yeah.
story I'm gonna tell that I'm continuing to tell, and that 5 years from now, 1 year from now, 10 years from now will be this story. And so it's
Yeah.
just like trying to think more within the future and just hold more space to be more confident and allow for
Wow.
that advancement is the cost of entry.
Yeah, it grieves my heart that this conversation has to come to an end.
I know, my too.
It's as if we're just starting.
Insightful. Would you be open to coming on mine to talk about these things?
Wow. 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 You invited me to a podcast.
I
Wow.
would love to have you.
Yeah, I'd gladly do that. Yeah.
I'll send you my
Yeah.
calendar link. Yeah, I would love to have.
Of course, please do. It appears that we would work well in hand, because I would love to like book a time around this kind of time, because that's when my internet is way good. See, there's no glitches, there's no hanging, any of those things. You probably should see me in the daytime of my own time, like that's in my own daytime. It
Yeah,
would have
this
been
time
terrible.
works great. Just depending on the day of the
Yeah,
week. Absolutely. We can do this time.
yeah. Please send me a link. That'll be pretty fantastic. I'd love to also continue conversation on your show. Then I'll be looking at you and say, okay, where do you want this conversation to go? And yeah. Let me follow her lead. She's taking me to the promised land.
No, I love this.
Yeah.
This is what I talk about. It's not just about podcasting, not just about mental health or anything. It's about life.
Yeah,
Where we
yeah,
learn the best kinds of little pieces of gold. They come from conversations like this from very different backgrounds who can align through the same human struggles that we all
yeah, yeah, yeah.
amazing.
True.
Love it.
Thank you. Yeah. Please do send me the link. I think you're the second guest that has invited me. No, not the second guest that has invited me. I mean, okay, yeah, I've had three. Okay, you're more like the fourth. But I think you are the second that I will get to actually book. The first one I've recorded, but yeah. I mean, let's do it.
Yeah, I would love it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for
My
coming on the
pleasure.
podcast. And for one final note, in the next 30 seconds before I get to ask you about your call to action, what advice do you have for those that are just thinking about podcasting, or probably started podcast and then they stopped, or probably just thinking, they're just not there yet? Yeah. So what do you have to say for them? More like, what advice do you have for your past self 9 months ago,
Yeah.
when you were probably before March?
Yeah. Embarrassment is the cost of entry. Just start, figure out a system that works out well, right? Like what kind of flow do you want it to have, and allow for it to be bad. Put it up expecting no one to listen. And then you won't have such high expectation. We put it out expecting everyone to listen. And that's why we set these goals that aren't achievable. So just put it out, expect for it to bomb. It's not going to do well. Expect not to get any sort of good until your 50th episode. And so just get 1 through 49 going.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard that. Put it up without expecting anything. That way you don't get disappointed.
Yeah.
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 Where can listeners check out your podcast, learn more about you, and see all the stuff you're doing?
Yeah. So my podcast is Shift Talking. It's anywhere you find podcasts. It's cheeky. I wanted it to be sassy. So I use a lot of foul language. So, just so you know. And you can find me anywhere on any of the socials. My handle is a steady space, not study like school, steady like balance, because I want people to come in, find their balance, and then go back out into the world. So that's where you can find me. I have some groups launching in June, on June 5th. So one for it's called the Parental Shift. So one for people who happen to be parents who want to find their identity again that got buried, and a whole other one for anyone who wants to do any sort of this work to know who they are and who they want to be.
Oh, you're launching in June, right? Okay. June. Okay, June is
About 5 weeks.
that's next 5 weeks. Okay. Since you have the calendar pretty figured out already, you're planning something big is coming, something huge.
Yeah, I'm transitioning into group coaching instead of the one-to-ones. I want it to be more affordable, more accessible, and give those of us who don't have a lot of support doing the work and improving ourselves. I want to give us a community, a tribe to go to.
And it's also easy to scale too. And then there's more like a network of where it's no longer one-to-one, but it's not like everybody's like supporting. Especially, I would assume there will be a group for the people in the group therapy. Sorry, not therapy. I don't know, coaching. I don't know why I keep saying therapy. Yeah,
Well,
there'll be a group.
I opened up by saying I was trained as a therapist.
Yeah, so but the therapy keeps sticking, and I know it's not therapy. Yeah, so group coaching. So there's more like a committee. So people can. I'll give an example. Let's say if it was podcast coaching, people can say, "Hi guys, there's this." Not just it won't be just you. So it's more like everybody needs together and makes it really stronger. Yeah.
So what's nice about this is that it's basically kind of like joining a webinar each week where we come in, we chat, we share about these things. Then you don't have to talk if you don't want to. You don't have to
but
use
then
camera if you don't want to.
But then after the webinar, there's like a group where people can message, chat, questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. And so it's like a mastermind.
Similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
That's nice. Oh, please let me know when it comes out if there's anything. Hopefully by then, probably I would have grown my audience to a higher level, and then probably there will be something I could do to support you. But a lot of things can happen in 5 weeks. You never know.
Yeah, it really can.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I really had a great time chatting with you. That's it for today's episode of my podcast story. I am Wisdom Okonkwo, and I hope this conversation sparked new ideas and gave you a deeper look into the heart of podcasting. If you've loved this episode, consider supporting the show by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/wisdomhq. Every bit helps keep the stories going. And hey, don't forget to follow, rate, and share this podcast with another podcaster or creator who would find it helpful. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode.